Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we dig into your sources to find the most surprising and insightful ideas. Today, we're diving into quite an ancient text. It's from the Therigatha, often called the Songs of the Elder Nuns, which is this amazing collection of Buddhist poems. And we've got this truly captivating story, 30 Tiṁsanipāta. It centers on a really profound encounter involving a Buddhist nun named Subha, or Bhikkhuni Subha, as a mendicant nun is called. Get ready to explore themes of temptation, but also unwavering conviction and a kind of radical self-awareness. So let's unpack this.
Indeed. And this isn't just, some historical anecdote. It's a really vivid illustration of how true freedom is attained, not really through external control, but by fundamentally shifting one's internal relationship to desire itself. Subha doesn't just resist. She seems to operate from a place where the temptation is almost irrelevant. And that's the truly powerful lesson here. We'll see how she navigates this very direct challenge to her spiritual path and offers insights that are surprisingly relevant, actually, to how we see beauty and desire even today.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It opens in the beautiful Jivaka Movane, that's Jivaka's mango grove. Bhikkhuni Subha is walking peacefully, probably meditating, when she's suddenly stopped by this guy, a Vutako, basically a rascal, a scoundrel. He just accosts her.
Right, straight away.
Yeah, and her initial response is very direct, assertive even. She asks him in the original Pali, Kite aparasita maya yama ovarianativhasi, which means, what wrong have I done that you stand blocking me? And she immediately reminds him of her vows, saying, Nahi paviteya ovusopurizo safazanaya kapati. It's just not proper for a renunciant friend for a man to touch her.
And that's an immediate, quite stark clash of worlds, isn't it? You've got the spiritual path meeting worldly desire head-on. Subha, well, she doesn't hesitate. She asserts her boundaries, grounding herself firmly in the teachings. She's not just any woman being harassed. She makes it clear she's a renunciant. Right from the start, she lays out the spiritual parameters of their interaction.
Right. But despite these clear boundaries, the man, well, he persists. He tries to dissuade her from her path. He starts with this question that really gets to his worldview, I think. Daharaka apapigach, asikta pabajaja karisati. You are young and blameless. What will renunciation do for you? And then he just launches into this whole cascade of seductive promises. It's quite something.
It really is.
He starts by inviting her to cast off her robes, Iramamase puffite vein. Come, let's play in the blossoming forest. He describes the Pahamavasanta Sukho Utu, the pleasant spring season, all the fragrant trees. It sounds almost like an ancient luxury travel brochure.
It kind of does. What strikes me about his approach is this immediate appeal to the senses, to comfort. He tries to paint this picture of loss, like what she's supposedly giving up, and then just overwhelm her with promises of sensory pleasure, worldly status. It's a complete package, really, of perceived happiness that, let's face it, most people would probably find incredibly alluring.
Oh, definitely. And he keeps going. He warns her about the dangers of being alone in the forest. He uses this quite descriptive phrase, basically a vast, terrifying forest with wild beasts and elephants. Scary stuff.
Trying the fear tactic now.
Exactly. Then he leans hard into flattery, praises her beauty, likens her to Tapaniya Kata Vaditika Bekarasi Shitaranseva Ashar, a golden doll, or even an apsaras, a celestial nymph. He praises her fine kasi silks, saying she looks incomparable in them.
So he's hitting all the angles: fear, desire, vanity.
All of them. And he doesn't stop there. He promises her luxury, subservience even. He says, Ahatavavasanugasya, I would be subject to your will. He invites her, Ehiagaramavasa, come live in a house where other women Nario would attend her, offers opulent things, Kasigasukumanitaraya, fine kasi silks, garlands, ornaments of gold, gems, pearls, Vivita avaranta karomite. It's a lot. Even a magnificent, fragrant bed. A clean, covered, soft, new, magnificent bed scented with sandalwood. And then there's this sort of veiled warning about celibacy, right? Like a lotus torn from water, he says, Evatuba brahmakarini sakesu oesujara kamisasi. You'll just grow old in your limbs, alone.
It really makes you wonder, what makes these kinds of temptations so powerful, even perhaps for someone committed to a spiritual path? I think it just highlights that common human tendency, doesn't it? to seek immediate comfort, pleasure over a path that's maybe more challenging, less obviously gratifying right away. He's appealing to every sense, every societal expectation of, a young woman back then.
Yeah. Yet even after this whole waterfall of worldly promises, the man's desire seems to narrow. It hones in. It becomes singularly fixated on Suha's eyes. It's almost like all those grand visions just distilled down to this one detail. He says, Akini katuri arriba, kinari arriba pabatantare. Your eyes are like, Kinari is a mythical creature. Tavame neanani, dakia bio kamarati pobatati. Seeing your eyes, my desire grows even more. He repeats it for her face, too, praising its beauty, and declares, Naima, atitae piataranayana kinariman lukain, there are no eyes dearer than yours. It's pure obsession at this point.
And this intense, narrow focus, it's such a classic illustration of how desire actually works. It might start broad, encompassing all sorts of worldly pleasures, but then it can just become this overwhelming, almost singular force. It creates this powerful, almost blinding attachment. And this is really a critical point, I think, where the illusion of beauty is at its most potent, because it's precisely that beauty he's attached to.
Right. But Subha, well, she is just completely unperturbed by all this. She doesn't engage with the flattery, the threats, nothing. Instead, she just clearly states how impossible his quest is. She tells him, Apathina payatum ichasi kando kanaka gavisasi. You seek the Buddha's child. Marulagito michasi yotfa buddhasuta magayasi. It's like you want to play with the moon or leap over Mount Meru. She's basically saying you're on a fool's errand, mate.
Essentially, yes. It's completely out of reach.
Then she declares her absolute freedom from desire itself. This is key. She says, Ana ati hilo luksadavake. Rago yatapi danimisia. There's no passion in this world, including the heavens where it might exist for me, magena hato samilako, because it has been completely uprooted by the path, destroyed at the root.
Wow.
She compares this eradicated desire to an okato yuva ojito visapatoriva agato kato, like a discarded snake, or like a poisoned leaf that's just been thrown away. It's gone.
That's an incredibly powerful statement. Now, for someone maybe listening who hasn't reached that level, what's the sort of practical difference between just resisting desire and having it uprooted by the path?
It's a really good question. How would you explain that?
Well, I think resisting desire is often, an act of willpower. It's a constant struggle against an internal pull, right? You're fighting it. But when it's uprooted by the path, as she says, it means the fundamental craving, the very root of that desire, has been seen through. It's been understood and dismantled. So it's not about suppression anymore. It's about a complete rewiring of perception where the desire maybe just doesn't arise in the same way. Or if it does, it has no power, no hook. It points to a kind of liberation that goes way beyond just self-control.
Right? It's fundamentally different. So Subha warns him, basically, don't waste your time. Twata disika palobaya jananti, so imai vihanyasi, you try to seduce one who knows, so you will come to grief. And she explains her inner state. Mahai akutavantite sukaduke kasati upaitida. My mind is present with happiness and suffering. Sokatam zapanti janya sabit. Ivam mononalimpati, knowing formations are impure, my mind is not stained anywhere. She's completely steady.
Total equanimity.
Yeah. And she reaffirms her identity, her purpose. She says, Sugatasa savika magatao gikayineyine. I'm a disciple of the Sugata, that's a title for the Buddha, following the Noble Eightfold Path. Uteyasala anasava sunyagara kagarakaramam. With the dart extracted, without defilements, I delight in solitude. She's content.
Her priorities are crystal clear.
Absolutely. And then, to really try and drive home the futility of his desire, she uses these incredibly powerful analogies. She wants to dismantle his whole perception of beauty, especially of the body.
These are really striking.
Yeah. First, the wooden doll. She describes seeing a sushitiya sombara derukeshi yakanavara, a well-painted, beautiful wooden doll. But it's held together by tantihika hilakehika vinibata strings and pegs. And she observes that when you remove the strings and pegs, it's just kanjaso scattered pieces. Nothing holds together.
Right.
So she asks, Kimhi tatamana nivisai. Where would one place the mind then? What is there to desire in a pile of bits? And she connects this straight to the body. My body is just like that doll. Without its component parts, its elements, it doesn't function. It's not a unified thing.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture in Buddhist thought, These analogies are just a masterclass in seeing beyond the surface, seeing the true nature of phenomena. She's challenging the very foundation of his infatuation by revealing impermanence, the composite nature of everything. It's not just, no, I don't want you. It's more like what you think you're attracted to doesn't actually exist in the solid, permanent way you perceive it. It's a fundamental shift in perspective she's offering.
Exactly. She then says he sees her like a chitika pitikata haitalena makida, like a painting on a wall colored with yellow ornament. But she tells him his perception is viparkadasana, it's distorted, and his panyamanusikha niratika, his sort of ordinary human wisdom, is useless here. He's just not seeing clearly.
Blinded by appearance.
Totally. In her view, he's chasing an illusion. Maya via agata agata supanateva sufankatapai, like an illusion, or maybe like a gold-colored tree you see in a dream. Or even a puparupaka, just a puppet, a marionette, in a crowd. Something unreal.
Powerful stuff. Deconstructing reality right in front of him.
You'd think that would work, right? But despite all these profound explanations, these vivid analogies, the man is still fixated on her eyes. He just can't let it go.
Incredible persistence of that attachment.
So she then describes the actual physical reality of the eye. Vidyarevokud, oite, machabukosa sasuka. Like a snail shell in a hollow with tear bubbles. Afajayati vividakakuvidafapita. Various pustules and diseases collected there. It's very graphic.
Unflinching look at the body's reality.
And what happens next is, well, it's truly astonishing. The text says, Upiya karota sana naka pajita asogamanasa. She tore out her beautiful eye, her mind completely unstained, unattached, and gave it to the man at once. Just handed it to him.
Wow. Now, for some listeners, this act, plucking out her own eye, it might sound shockingly extreme, maybe even violent, right? How do we understand this within the Buddhist context? Not as self-harm, clearly, but as this ultimate teaching you mentioned.
Yeah, that's a crucial distinction, isn't it? Because it's definitely not about self-harm.
Absolutely not. From that Buddhist perspective, it's the ultimate act of detachment. It's a radical, completely undeniable demonstration of the very impermanence and, frankly, unattractiveness she'd been trying to convey with words and analogies. By physically severing the object of his attachment, the eye itself, she instantly cuts through his delusion, his obsession, his passion, his rogo, it says, immediately ceases. Tasaka viramasi tava derogo. It was this profound, nonverbal teaching that just shattered his illusion in a way words simply couldn't.
And the man's reaction, it's immediate, total remorse. He apologizes. Soti siya brahmakurini na puno edisaka bhavisati. May there be welfare for you, renunciant. It will not happen again like this. He compares his actions to embracing aji pajali pavalioja, a blazing fire, or trying to get gatisa asivisia, catch a poisonous snake. He realizes how dangerous his desire was.
A complete turnaround, a moment of awakening for him, prompted by her radical act.
Exactly. And the narrative then concludes. Subha's freed, obviously, and she goes to the Buddha. And upon seeing the Buddha, her eye is miraculously restored, Jatapudakanti, as it was before.
And that restoration, it isn't just some, tacked-on miracle. It powerfully symbolizes her spiritual integrity, I think, and the transformative power of truth itself. Her act wasn't driven by malice or self-harm, as we said, but it was this profound demonstration of detachment. And it ultimately purified the situation for both of them. It affirmed her spiritual attainment, and it led to the man's sudden awakening to his own folly. It highlights how wisdom can, well, quite literally restore what delusion has distorted.
What an incredible journey, really into the heart of conviction. This deep dive into Bhikkhuni Subha's story, it just highlights the incredible strength you can find in, well, understanding the nature of reality and detaching from illusions. You've heard how one woman's unwavering commitment could just dismantle another person's really powerful desires simply by revealing a different truth, a different way of seeing things.
And this ancient narrative, it still challenges us today, doesn't it? It really asks us to look beyond just superficial appearances, to question the basis of our own attractions, our own desires. And it brings to mind the question, I think, in our world now, so saturated with information and images, what beautiful illusions might we still be clinging to? Illusions that maybe prevent us from seeing deeper truths about ourselves, about reality.
Indeed, a really provocative thought. So what illusions might you listening now be clinging to? And what radical acts of detachment, perhaps not quite as literal as advice, might open your eyes to a deeper reality, something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.